Hey everyone, my name is Sam Kline, and I completed my winter internship with Whidbey Island Grown Cooperative. My project focused on how digital communication and storytelling can strengthen local food systems and improve community engagement. Specifically, I looked at the Food Hub and investigated how targeted marketing strategies could help increase participation, strengthen relationship with community members, and boost overall sales. Because while local food systems already provide a lot of social, environmental, and economic benefits, many smaller organizations struggle to compete with larger grocery store chains that have much bigger marketing budgets and just an overall wider reach. Today, most people first interact with organizations online, whether that be through websites, social media, or email newsletters. This means that digital communication is often the first impression an organization gives to potential customers or community members. For organizations like the Food Hub, strong communication is especially important because they rely heavily on trust, community relationships, and public participation. So, even though local food organizations offer valuable alternatives to industrial food systems, they still need effective ways to reach people and keep audiences engaged. This led me to investigate my research question, how can targeted digital marketing and audience segmentation improve community engagement, increase participation, and drive sales for the Whidbey Island Food Hub? To answer this question, I evaluated several forms of the organization's digital communication. First, I analyzed website performance using Squarespace Analytics. I looked at the metrics like page views, bounce rates, and user behavior to understand how visitors interacted with the site. Additionally, I reviewed the email marketing data through MailChimp, looked at open rates, click-through rates, and audience engagement patterns. Additionally, the Food Hub also uses Facebook and Instagram, so I looked at meta analytics to identify what kind of posts generated the most interaction. I also conducted a literature review on digital marketing, food systems, and nonprofit communication, which helped me compare the Food Hub strategies to broader research and best practices. One of the biggest findings was that audience segmentation significantly improved engagement. When communication was tailored to specific audiences, such as veterans, families, or co-op members, engagement tended to be a lot stronger. Another major finding was that authentic storytelling performed well, especially well on social media. Posts featuring local farmers, behind the scenes content, or personal stories generated much more interaction than general promotional content. I also found that the website received fairly consistent traffic, but that the bounce rate was relatively high. This suggests that many users were visiting the site, but leaving without taking further action. This could mean that users were having difficulty navigating the site or just weren't seeing clear calls to action. Based on these findings, I developed several recommendations. First, expanding audience segmentation could improve email engagement by allowing the organization to send more relevant and targeted ads to different groups of people. Second, increasing storytelling content, especially interviews, behind videos, and behind the scenes posts, could help strengthen audience trust and emotional awareness. Additionally, improving website navigation and simplifying information could encourage more participation and reduce overall bounce rates. I also suggested that the community looks into expanding their reach into Nextdoor, which may help connect with more local audiences. But one of the most important recommendations was that digital communication alone should not replace community-based engagement. Instead, the most effective strategy is combining both in-person and online relationship building and community participation. Overall, this project showed that digital communication plays an increasingly important role in supporting local food systems and community organizations. However, the most effective communication strategies are not just data-driven, they are also relationship-centered and authentic. I think these findings can apply to not only the Food Hub, but also to other nonprofits, cooperatives, and community organizations that are trying to strengthen engagement and boost sales. And before I finish, I did want to go over my figures since I do think they're some of the strongest parts of my presentation. So if you look at figure one, this was one of the newsletters that I redesigned in MailChimp. This model aims to create a more engaging and concise visual for consumers. So previous, they did have a newsletter that they were sending out to around 4,000 customers, but it was very lengthy, very wordy, and honestly just quite hard to read. And so I tried to simplify it, add more visuals. I made sure to go through like featured crop, our services, what kind of deliveries we do, just to make it more engaging for the customer. And I also created a separate newsletter for Northern residents who are typically military-based families. And that one focused a lot more on health, and wellness and eating natural foods. And then my second figure is part of a social media post that I made detailing my day in the life as an intern while visiting the island. Um, this was about a part of a 10 post or 10-page post that I made when I visited the island. This was right before I interviewed one of the farmers. You can just see me feeding their goats, and I just added a few graphics and some text to make it appeal to younger audiences. And then figure three, this is something that I didn't touch on as much, but another thing that I did was I did I created a 2025 revenue model that was based on their 2022 revenue model. And I did this going through kind of archives and also just using a lot of census data. And so one of the things that they wanted me to look at was how total annual revenue compared to each like town or city in Whidbey. And so this graph shows the relationship between profit and region for the food hub, which should allow board members to see where revenue is concentrated and also where they might need to fill in gaps. And this was just one of many graphs that I made for them, so they can more easily visualize these statistics. And before I open up my project for questions, I did just want to say some acknowledgements. I would like to give a big thank you to my faculty advisor, Fred Purcell, for his guidance and support throughout this project. I am also grateful to my site supervisor, Shannon Bly, and my professor, Sean McDonald, for their feedback, encouragement, and mentorship. Finally, I would like to thank my friends and family for their continued support throughout this project. Thank you all so much for listening, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.